Hello, everybody, and welcome to LBR Shares Success. Today, we have our Minnesota girl, Allie Enge. I'm going to introduce her in a little minute, and we're excited to have her and share all kinds of stuff that she has going on. If you think the florist industry has slowed down at all, think again. You're going to learn a ton today. Just a little bit on LBR. We have some awesome things that we have in the works to help you grow your business. This being one of them. I mean, this has been such a great tool if you've been engaged in learning from your fellow florists and the collaboration here. We have our Live with Len Bush, where you get a sneak peek every week into our company and what products we have bringing to you. And as a little teaser, stay tuned in the next couple of weeks. We have a really cool program coming up just to help you. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Allie. Allie from Thief River Falls, Minnesota, owner of The Shed. Welcome. And why don't you take a minute, Allie, to just give us a little background on you and The Shed and how the business started.
Okay. First of all, thank you to Len Bush. Thank you to Nancy. Thank you to Sandy. And so The Shed has actually been in the family for 26 years. Now, along with that, though, 10 years ago, it was primarily antiques. And my husband's grandparents bought it just as really as a hobby place and for antiques, and it was on our property that we live right now. And 10 years ago, on September 13th, my background is I was a supply chain analyst for a multi-million-dollar corporation and had a great job, was able to travel, although at the age of 33, I suffered a massive stroke. I'm gonna cry. But so ended up, I was airlifted in our rehab facility for 2 weeks and then in a nursing home for 5 months. And my doctor at the time told me that I couldn't go back doing what I, was doing before. And I went through a severe depression. And my husband's grandmother was going to open up The Shed one last time. And my husband, in order for me to really get out of the house, get out of my depression, get out of watching Real Housewives, he said, why don't you help Grandma? True story. He goes, why don't you help Grandma one more year or one last season before we had an auction sale? Well, after about 2 days, I realized that I was on the cusp of my passion, and my husband squashed it. He said, we're a double income household. We need the insurance. You need to go get a job. As soon as you could, get better, you could do a job. I couldn't load my dishwasher, but I could make amazing Amish quilts. That's how my brain worked. I would load my dishwasher with clothing, but I could quilt because my mother was a quilter. I'd never used a sewing machine in my life. So that's kind of a little bit where my artistic ability, I guess, started. So it wasn't always a florist. So I kind of converted from antiques, had home goods, added clothing. At that point, it got a little bit too busy or too big. It was probably only like a single stall garage on our property. And I decided to move into town. So 6 years ago, I made that decision to move into Thief River. Still wasn't a florist. Didn't see the value in flowers, to be quite honest. I just didn't understand them. You hear our customers saying, they're a waste of money, they die. And that's really kind of where I was at, and to be a florist who loves her job, to be able to say that and admit that and that I was wrong. So, came into Thief River. My husband's aunt works for Bachman's, and because we had a greenhouse, because I could do greenhouse flowers, and she said, you need to get into fresh flowers, and I said, absolutely not. Well, finally I made a decision to get into our fresh flowers. Had no idea what I was doing. Never put a rose in a vase. We call it death by fire because I actually opened up my floral business the week of Valentine's Day.
Oh, Allie, so. Awesome. or not, I don't know.
You know what? It wasn't, we did it. You know what? We're here today.
That's right.
So, about a year and a half ago, I outgrew my business. My floral business was expanding. My retail end was expanding. And I made the decision to move into a facility just down the road. It was about 4 times as big as my old space. So I moved, we were supposed to be in November. Well, construction delays if you've ever built a house or did any type of construction. We didn't get in until February, I think it was February 7th. So.
Awesome
4
timing
times,
again.
yeah, couldn't have gone better. Awesome. So, but in the meantime, about 6 months before that, and I know if I get too winded, just say land the plane, Karen. That's what everybody else does at my store. So anyway, we moved in, and then, you know, it is true. So my husband and I had planned a trip, which was going to be fine because we were going to go to Italy. So we went to Italy the end of February. And then we came home and quarantined for 2 weeks. COVID wasn't a big deal. So I was actually out of my store longer than my new store was open, and we were shut down.
Yes. What a beginning. That's crazy.
But it's, you know what? I didn't, like I said, I didn't climb this mountain to die on it. And when I told that doctor, when she said I couldn't go back doing what I was doing, she's my driving force, even though I still can't stand the woman, because I was like, I will prove you wrong. And I walked out. And you know what? I've even sent her flowers.
Oh, good for you. Thanks for sharing that your beginnings. I'm going to welcome Sandy to the show, and it's so exciting to have Sandy back. She's had a little setback with her foot, but that, if you know Sandy, also doesn't slow her down. So she probably has a few words for her doctor as well as to, you think that's going to stop me? Watch me. So Sandy, welcome.
Hi there, everybody, and welcome. Yeah, I'm glad everybody is back. We had a week that we had to cancel because I managed to break my leg, and which is quite the adventure, but it still also allows me time where I have to sit, and then it makes my brain go crazy too. So I'm really excited today to have Allie on and have her to be able to share some of her things. And one of the things that you guys heard is that she expanded her business just this last year, and she's looking forward and going to be expanding her business more. And then we're going to go into some other opportunities that she embraced, and she's going to tell us some about that. As she's looking with her business, you can see her passion, and I just love the passion, and on her website just really talks about her embracing her customers, putting their heart and soul into it, and serving their customers with passion. And so you can see that she embraced social media early on. But Allie, why don't you tell us about your newest project that you got going?
Okay, well, you know, we moved into our new store. When we first moved in, we thought we are never going to fill this space. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you look at it, if you're my husband, you're going to say unfortunately. Me, I'm going to say fortunately. We ran out of room. And so we looked at, you know, a couple different options, and the contractor, if you've ever been to Thief River, we're in the historic right downtown, and a guy purchased a building and has actually just restored it to the original way it was. And he said, why don't you just knock out that wall and go over there? And I'm like, I'm going to do that. I said, that made sense. So I called the guy, and he's like, yeah, we'll go ahead and do it. So we moved into a spot that was 4 times our previous size, and now we're halving that, so it's an additional 2 times.
Yeah.
And that right there is going to house our, yeah.
So
you know, that'll house.
And the Rocky thing. So the one thing that you told me is that you actually hit your 2019 sales goal by the end of June. So you really are embracing, rather than letting anything slow you down, and I know you're working really hard, and your team is working really hard to capture those sales, but that's amazing, you know, and you should be really, really proud.
You know, I still can't believe it. You know, there's times that I get a little flustered and a little, how am I going to do this? I have because all my weddings, they've rescheduled now that, were closed or canceled during COVID. They've all been rescheduled now. So every weekend now until Christmas, I have on the average of 3 weddings a weekend. And it gets hard, but I made that commitment to those brides. And it does get, trying to balance. I'm still working on that, trying to balance everything. And, I'm very honest. Everything is transparent. I run a very transparent business and a household. And it's always what works today may not work tomorrow. So we just have to continue to evolve.
Yeah. So you were telling me, one of your biggest accounts was the DigiKey Corporation. So why don't you tell us about what happened there once COVID hit and they all started working virtually?
So we, on the average, we have a town, I suppose there's about 9,000 people in our town. DigiKey is the largest employer, and they employ, I don't know if it's anywhere from 3,000 to 4,000 people. Mind you, there's people that travel like a 60 to 70 mile radius every single day to come to work there. And we would deliver on the average between 70 to 100 arrangements to DigiKey a week. And over half of their workforce now is all working remotely from home. And that was, you kind of, when things started going on with COVID, okay, what is it gonna affect? That was that was a sucker punch. How am I gonna do this? I don't know how am I gonna get to these people? How am I gonna bring the shed to these people? Because they can't come into my store. So what I did then is I actually did a little research in the area towns, kind of where the people were from. And then I contacted local stores, local kind of hubs, destination places that people generally go to carry my flowers there. However, as a florist, you're probably like, well, I have a floral place in that town. That was really important to me, not to go into any town where an existing florist was, because ethically, I couldn't do it. And so also being loyal to that store too, and showing that I'm invested, because I don't want it to be just a fly-by-night, well, now that COVID's done, DigiKey's working again, she's gonna pull her flowers. So I actually invested into each store brand new coolers to show they don't have to pay for them, to show that, hey, I'm here. I didn't want them putting any older coolers in, one that had been repurposed or fixed or anything like that, because I didn't want to lose the integrity of my flowers. Because we all know coolers fail. My condensers on one of them is out right now.
Yeah. And it really showed your commitment to the opportunity, and and also that quality driven, using new coolers and investing into the future of it, that it's not just a short-term thing, that you're looking long-term.
And that's, we talked about that too, Sandy. If you're somebody that, hey, I want to get out in the next year, because it is a financial investment.
Yeah.
It is, I put brand new coolers in, and I didn't go with, I went with top of the line coolers. I financed them because obviously everything with COVID, everything was very tight. So I worked with financing companies on them, and hey, making sure that I got the lowest interest rate. If I didn't, I worked with my local bank on some. And that has, I think of anything, that has proven to, that store that, hey, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And you're also going to find loyalty, especially in these small towns. If you have your cooler in a small town with your flowers, those small town people are going to support that business. Not only that, they're going to see your name, you're going to brand it, and they're going to say, hey, if I have a wedding, if I have a graduation, if I have a memorial, that's who I'm going to. And I've actually seen that return on investment many times, because my flowers have been in there and I stand behind them.
Yeah, and so it's bringing additional traffic into the local partner business. And you said that, you're not only selling them the everyday flowers, you're also gaining funeral business, wedding business, and seeing other things, making that connection. So let's talk about how you manage it. So,
Okay. Oh, how I manage everything? Okay, how I manage.
Okay, the juggling act comes in.
A little bit. So when it comes to, we, as a florist, we all have some type of loss with the flowers, They just, mine actually, before COVID hit, before I did this, was pretty low. Now it's non-existent. The reason why is I don't put, if I put 20 arrangements in a cooler on Monday to this store, what I do is I make sure Wednesday I'm taking those flowers out and I'm refreshing them with new ones. Because in those small towns, you have the people that go in and out every single day, and they're gonna look. I take those flowers back, they're all fresh. If anything has to be freshened up, I'll cut the stems, change the water, making sure that there's, all of that stuff. And then I'll either sell them out of my cooler, or hey, we have another store. Oh, it's Tuesday today. Yep, we're gonna take these to the next store. And that has proven to be, there's just no, I pretty much have no loss. Yeah. Not even, I wouldn't even say right now, we all know how expensive stems can be right now. I wouldn't even say $5 a week.
Yeah.
And usually I break them.
Yeah, and mostly you're controlling what you're selling, selling designer choice, and really, we're looking at your targeted area was about 20 minutes within your home store, and you plan to go there about 3 to 5 times a week. But if like a store all of a sudden gets a run on something, then they're working with you to kind of call you and say, hey, we're almost out of arrangements, or, that we need you before Friday and when you would normally come.
And that's, we deliver there 7 days a week, even on Sundays. Sunday is actually sometimes a really nice delivery. I have a night shift right now. So I have people that come in at 6 o'clock, or, if they come in at 6 o'clock, I'll be like, okay, here's the ones that need to go to, this town. Okay. And they'll just take them, because usually those places are open until 10 anyway. So it's really nice that I can manage that workflow when it's not, so the traffic is slower in the store.
Yeah, and so then the other thing that you do is on your Facebook page, she's taking photos of the arrangements that are sent out to those locations and talking about, hey, this place has been restocked. They're open 7 days a week, and some of her partners are actually delivering local too. So you can see that she posts the designs that they put in the cooler.
Don't critique it.
No. They're wonderful. Look at that. That's fabulous. So, different sizes of arrangements, but it's a great way to really kind of increase that awareness of the product that's available out there and drive people to those stores.
Absolutely, they do. They drive them.
Yeah.
And there are, and some of these people, and one of the stores is close to 45 minutes away. They live in a rural area. They have never had flowers delivered, ever. And that's so, special. And I leave it up to the discretion of the business themselves to say, hey, if you want to go ahead and do deliveries, that's on you. If you want to charge a delivery charge, that's all on you. I'm just, supplying that, and they all deliver.
Yeah.
So,
and you are able to control the pricing that you have in those stores. And so you mentioned to me that you do add a little bit higher price on the arrangements going out of those stores as a convenience fee, so that it makes it profitable for you to continue to go there.
And if anybody, afterwards, if anybody wants to talk about it or think, hey, this is something I could do, if you want to know the logistics on how I do it, I can share that with you. You may even have a better idea how to manage it. And I'll be like, I'm going to take your idea, because it's, yeah.
Yeah, that's what this program is all about, is kind of giving people the insights into some of the other stores on what they're doing, and us working as a floral community to be able to partner together and rise everybody up and have everybody feed kind of on each other's success.
Absolutely. Well said.
Yeah. So let's just take a look at the what we had with Lindsay when we had her in a couple weeks ago, and just look at some of the things. So I've got this poll up here, and we want to have people let us know on what they have done, and we'll just do this. So a couple of the things that she talked about was that coffee chat. Oh, hang on. We got the wrong poll up. Okay, let's do Lindsay. There we go. Launch poll. So she had the Friendstomer program, thinking about her customers as a different light, and then upcycling bases. And if people can just kind of put in some of the different things that they maybe are using in their stores, whether they're doing that, really looking at posting different beautiful flowers, and using that call to action that kind of works with their name, but thinking of a call to action where she's joyful blooms, spread some joy is kind of her tagline. And then everybody posting photos of bridal work as bridal work comes back in, using those hashtags, looking at updating your website, and then whether you're still working on some of the previous ideas. And so it looks like upcycling vases, updating website, and still working on some of the previous ideas. Let me end this poll and share the results. Those are some of the top things that we see people doing. But stop share. And then, so let's get back to Allie. And one of the other things that she's doing is just really investing in her team of employees, and thinking about some of the things that you're doing with your employees. Can you share some of that?
You might have to refresh my memory on what we spoke about too.
Okay.
We talked a while.
Well,
Okay,
just,
so
the long days with your employees, and then also the social media policy.
I have, an amazing group of employees. None of them have any type of floral experience, and I don't think really any of them except one has any type of retail experience. And we get on the average probably about 10 to 20 people coming into my store each week looking for a job because they think it's a fun place to work. Unfortunately, I'm fully staffed right now, although to me it's important that you hire kind people and people that don't necessarily understand me, but they understand that, hey, this is her passion. And so along with that, we do have training programs on, how to do things. Along with that, I find it's important that they feel that they're valued and that they're appreciated and that their voice matters. And no matter what age they are, I mean, I have everybody from 16-year-olds and above working at the shed. And so if they bring something to me, I just don't go, okay, yeah, whatever. I'm like, okay, well, let's just go ahead and order it then. Along with that, I provide every one of my employees, if they're working during the day and it's lunch, they get lunch. If they're working late at night, because we're open until 8 o'clock at night, they get dinner. Sometimes when they're out on deliveries, I'm like, okay, you're going to be going out on a loop right now. It's going to be about 3 hours. Here's my card. Make sure you get yourself something to eat. And to me, it's just automatic, because once you start working for me, with me, you're my family. And, good Norwegian girl always feeds her family. So, and so many of them have said, that have worked at other jobs, they're like, this never happens anywhere. I'm like, really? They're like, no. And, I have a trust factor. They're just really great. Two of my, and I don't have age, some people, oh, they're 16 years old, they can't do flowers. They can't order stuff. Thank you. Actually, one of them is bringing me something right now. They can't, they're not able to do this because of their age. And I said, no, they can. And two of my girls, they went off to college. One is in Colorado, and one of them is down in Wilmer. I cried because they're just amazing. And I actually have them working remotely right now. And so they don't have to get a job when they're in college. They're strictly working remotely, ordering, entering inventory into our system, following new trends. I'm 43 years old. We need the input of the 18, the 17, the 18-year-olds. And the 19, hey, because where I am today, where we are is not where we're gonna be from 6 months now. So if you stay stagnant, it's not gonna work. And so having their input and saying, yep, just go ahead and order. And so they don't have to have a job and they're actually getting paid from the shed when they're in college.
Yeah, it's a great way to really stay fresh. And as a buyer, you buy whatever, 60% of what you like, 20% of what you don't like, and 20% that you kind of like, maybe this will work, maybe this won't. But, kind of opening that up to the whole team really makes them feel invested, that you're invested in them. And also then it adds that accountability when it comes in for them to sell it, right?
Oh yeah, I'm like, now you got this stuff in, now you got to sell it. And they do, and I'll look at it and I'll be like, this is the ugliest thing I have ever in my life seen. And it sells, and I'm like, and now I'm wrong. Yeah. And for me, and now I'm wrong. So if you follow our Facebook page after this or whatever, you're going to see that there's so many different areas. How does she keep track of them?
Yeah.
The truth is, I do. But I also have people in place. When everything was going on with COVID, my focus was the flowers. That was primarily it. But I wanted to be long-term. I didn't want to be out in 5 years or 2 years or 6 months. So I hired people that was their specialty. And, no matter if they were 16 or 45, it's.
So, and you did mention you have a training program, and I understand that you'll teach them how to make floral design, but that you have them sign a 2-year non-compete. And I really feel like that's a great way to be able to make sure that you're investing in somebody that's going to be invested in your business.
And I don't want to deter anybody, from, not wanting to do flowers, but I want every arrangement that comes out of the store, I want a brand on it. I want when people look at that arrangement, and they do right now, they can say that's from the shed. And I will show you everything I know. We'll learn together. I'll show you I'll show you Len Bush. Hey, this is where you can, do all this stuff. But I'm going to invest in you, and I just ask that you invest in me also. Yeah. And you know what? In 2 years from now, if you want to go open up your own flower shop, go ahead and do it, and I will be the first one through the door. But, and hopefully we can get back to Len Bush and do in-person class. Sandy.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, that's how we met, actually, was Allie came in for classes at Len Bush, and started there.
We have a question.
Okay.
So Lisa, thanks for joining us again. She said she missed the beginning couple of minutes. How many staff members do you have, Allie? And you said you have a night shift. What are your hours? So how many staff?
Oh gosh. I think there's like 16 of us.
Okay.
Which is so crazy because for the first 3 years, my family just worked for free stuff. So there's 16 of us. I know. I do have, back to this, shift, we're going to talk a little bit about that. I have some high schoolers. I have quite a few high schoolers who are doing distance learning in Thief River. So I actually have them split on 2 weeks. It's basically, so if you work 1 week, you're going to probably work more that week, but then the next week you have off. The reason why is no matter if I agree with COVID or not, if somebody gets COVID in my store, I would have to shut down. So it's a way for me to protect and be able to trace my customers. So there's, about 16 of us. We work from 8 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock at night. Tuesday through Friday until 8 o'clock at night. That's going to be pushed back now, but it's going to be pushed now towards the end of October till about 9 or 10, because there's some people that can come in and do, because there's a lot of things that can be done after hours when nobody's there. So we'll be working probably until 10 o'clock, and then on the weekends, it's only till 5. Unless there's people there, and then till 6 or 7.
One of the reasons, so her store used to be open till 6, and there's a new restaurant that opened up above her. Yeah, that's where she's at right now. It's a smokehouse barbecue place, and really is getting a lot of new customers, and they're open till 8 o'clock. And so what Allie did is expanded her hours to match that, to be able to engage with those customers, new customers that are coming in there. And you have a couple thousand every night that you're selling, you know, from like 6 to 8 when you would have been closed, right?
Absolutely. And, you know, there's going to be some days that you're not going to have a whole lot of people in there, because they're, you know what, they're just waiting for the reservation. They're waiting for that call or that text, but they're walking in. They're just taking a look around, because obviously we know that Christmas is coming. And I want them to look at something, so when somebody asks for something or they need to get a gift, they can think, hey, the shed. And it's just mainly a presence. Yeah.
And, you know, and so I asked her, you know, what are you doing with those employees? You know, are they just sitting around when it's slow? So she has developed kind of things that they can do, so they can prep vases for the next day. They pre-green the vases, so they're not inserting flowers, but they're getting things ready for the next day so that Allie can be more efficient with her time. And so it's a great way to do that. And then also just organizing the store with that kind of volume, you can see that there's going to be things that you need to do on a daily basis to really keep those wheels turning.
And, you know, it's interesting that, because, you know, we had talked about that before. Hey, here's our checklist of things that need to be done. And I think when, you know, in reality, when people think that, oh, Allie's opening at 8 o'clock, she can go ahead and get that done. It's funny, because they realize if they've worked at 8 o'clock in the morning now, they're like, you can't get anything done. The phones are ringing. And I said, and that's why it's so important, you know, that people, it's that accountability, because like I've said, if you're closing at 8 o'clock at night and you decide not to, you know, complete your stuff, and the person that opens at 8 o'clock in the morning, they're not going to be very happy with you. So it's kind of, they've had to learn themselves, and they're like, we have to get this stuff done because, you know, it's important. Can you hear me?
I hope those poll results weren't up that whole time.
Oh, I didn't see anything.
Oh, let's hope not. Somebody should have flagged us on that.
Didn't see him. Sandy.
Did you have any more questions, Nancy, at all?
None at the time.
Yeah. So
if anybody does, please feel free to do it via the chat or the Q&A tab.
Sandy, one thing you talked about just briefly was my social media policy.
Oh, yeah.
One thing that I have at the store is when you work at the shed, you know, you are being your representation of the shed. And we all know how ugly right now our world can be. And, you know, when it comes to being a political year. So I've asked all my employees to really keep their social media clean. I do have a policy because, you know, ultimately, and when you start to work, you know, at the shed, and, you know, we post you all over social media, you're going to go to the grocery store, you're going to go to whatever, and they're going to be like, oh, you work at the shed. If you don't think those people are looking at you on social media, you know, they are. So I just say keep it clean, because I realize that this is not your forever job. However, you are going to have a forever job one day, and that employer is going to ask. And some of these people, it is their very first job. So I have a really high expectations for myself that when they leave my store and they apply to another place, that they say that is a great worker and their social media is clean.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. And having a policy, I mean, it's the reality of where we are right now. And one comment you made to me, you know, you can do 100 good things. and then one bad post and you can offend so many people so fast. And it's a great thing to be aware of, and to be aware of the employees are always a representative of your brand and your company. And it just shows how invested you are in the brand and the position that you have in the market.
And, I have to be made aware too, as we talk about employees, I have to be also aware as a business owner. There's times that we all want to lash out. And there's times I'm just like, wanting to click, click, click. And my husband will say, stop, don't do it. So now now said voice to Allie, stop, don't do it. You can't do that. So I think for even us, even as adults, like as business owners, they're going to go to us too. So we have to just keep it clean.
Yeah. Yeah. And so just a couple other things that you talked about that you're doing is really working on capturing any customer information. So you upgraded your POS system and are working to really capture that customer information, and then reach out to them with rewards and things for the customers that are supporting you right now. So let's talk just a little bit about that.
So I did upgrade my POS system, so now I can see my repeat customers and how often they're spending, or maybe some customers that have lapsed. And you can send them, I can send them emails saying, hey, we did move everything with COVID. We do have a website. We are offering free in-town delivery. And sometimes, just give them a little coupon code off, an item. And, we have gained a lot of, new business from those existing customers that have lapsed over the, the past 6-7 months.
Yeah, and so just talking about connecting, so her website, and so on her website, she's using her team of employees. As soon as something comes in, it goes up on the website and tries to keep that really current. There's a lot of great things on there. We also have her Instagram feed is just coming on that, and that's actually live feed. So this post went up this morning, and so it just automatically updates. But so that drives some people right to your social media too as well. But just think about updating that website and using it as a selling tool.
And those are the 2 girls that I have in college. They're actually working on that, because I can't. I am not really good at computers, and it is not my thing. So, and even there's some things that I found that I'm like, oh, I got to send them a message. Hey, can you update this? Can you fix this? So.
Yeah, and then all the floral designs that you're selling off of there are designer choice, and so it allows you. That also helps with your flower usage, so that you make sure you're controlling your dump as well. And of course, you'll take special requests by phone. You just said, just call me, right?
Yep, just give me a call.
Yeah. So just talking about the young people. And so one of the things that Allie has going on is she has a daughter, actually, that's going to the school here in the Twin Cities. And her daughter has a little bit discovered her passion. But so just tell your story a little bit about what's happening there.
Okay, so my oldest is a senior at the U of M, and neuroscience, I don't know what that is, but that's what she was going to be, a neurologist. And even though I think I'm a pretty good floral designer, she's amazing. And she actually was a designer before I was. So a couple years ago, she goes, Mom, I want to open up a shed in the cities. And I'm like, no. Well, Mom, it's really my passion. No. So about a year ago, a little bit more talk about it. I said, Hannah, I'm not doing anything until you have a 4-year degree. That was fair. Well, then everything with COVID, she had 2 jobs. We're going to school, and they were in the service industry in downtown Minneapolis. So she couldn't work, and everything, with us here, I'm like, we can't support you. So she decided to open, right now it's just a floral delivery service called the Shed Twin Cities. And so because I have a following in the Twin Cities, and I have a lot of family and friends there. So she's actually doing a floral delivery service out of her apartment in her apartment in St. Paul. So I know eventually she does want to open up the shed Twin Cities, and after she has that little certificate from the University of Minnesota, she can do whatever she wants. In my name, I will put, a big smiley face saying "Love Mom" on it. But so it's been good for her because she's learning things that I didn't know, when I first started, like the price of the stamp. And I was like, well, just shove them in until it looks good. Well, then you have an $80 arrangement. So she's learning all of, the basics and a little bit more there. She came home last weekend and we did a wedding together, and now she's coming home tomorrow because she has got a massive wedding on Saturday, and then I've got a couple weddings. So she's booked that wedding, and so we're excited. And, at first, like I said, why would anybody want to get into this job? And then on Saturday, when we were doing an installation of an arch, I just kind of looked at her and I thought, I've had a stroke, I've had brain surgery. We don't know we don't know what's going to happen to us, but if and when I die, there'll be somebody to carry on, my legacy of, my passion and the shed itself. So I couldn't be more proud. No, I'm just
That's awesome. Yeah. You're making me cry.
We all can feel your passion in your work. That's
I
awesome.
just love it. And you know what, guys, days suck. Like this morning I had to do a wreath for a little baby.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is why I don't, well, I still love what I do. I don't always like the whys. And that's kind of how I explain, memorial work. I don't love my why here, but I love what I do. So.
Yeah.
Hey, I have another question that came through.
Okay.
This is from Sarah. Sarah Nett, thanks for asking the question. Hi, Allie. I have a question about how you handle multiple weddings a week. We've just reached that point in my shop and our space is small. Any tips on streamlining the process? We have a staff of 5 right now and we're working on staggered schedules to maintain space.
Well, hopefully all your brides have a different color scheme. They don't, it's bad. It's really, really difficult.
Well,
One thing I
In what way, Allie?
So start off with different color labels for everything. So it's an easy way to do it. So each wedding is a different color label in the cooler, and then you tape off an area that like this is this wedding, but big pieces of different color paper is going to make it very easy for people to identify that.
Sandy, I made notes. Thank you.
Yeah, I've worked on some, different big events and where we have multiple things going on, and that is really effective because it's very, very visual because you have delivery drivers and it's like everything in purple, that's this wedding.
Okay.
That's great. I knew Sandy would know too. That's awesome.
That's how I do it is I do one wedding at a time. And obviously I get my flowers in Wednesday, so I prep them Wednesday. They're all ready to go. I have all my vases all ready. I have them in different boxes. And then Thursday morning, I have my folder. I create like a Pinterest board of her inspiration, what she wants for shape of her bridal bouquet. The actual order that I've placed with Len Bush is every wedding I place a different order, I should say. So I have a different R number. And then I have that attached in the folder. So when the flowers come in, sometimes it's like, I don't know, okay, are these for this one? So I know when they come in, I put them in a different, bucket. And then it's based upon that R number. I'm going to be using labels, they'll come tomorrow. And then I just start creating the wedding. And I have labels on every single box. I have them in their corsage boxes. I have the wedding name and what the title is. And then I have their own special place in the cooler. Yeah. Now, some of you are bigger than others. One thing that people don't necessarily, when they come here, I actually do not have a walk-in cooler. And I'm getting one. But when we move into the new place that's actually going in there is a walk-in cooler. I don't have a walk-in cooler. So I don't want people to think, oh my gosh, she has all this stuff in this big walk-in cooler and here I'm working on a little, 2 or 3 doors, you know, you can make it work. It's really good because it's colder out now. So, you know, if you can utilize any outside space like me that is hauling in a trailer tomorrow for my flowers. So just make it work.
Yeah. Hey, a nice comment from Lisa. She says, that's what we do at the holidays. Each day of the week is highlighted in a different color. Another good idea. Look at you, write it down. Everybody, keep pens ready.
Yeah.
And Sarah says, thank you, Allie and Sandy. Any other questions, please either chat or put
As
it
you're
in the
doing your
question.
weddings too, if something isn't complete, as you complete it, I would do a highlight on your form that it's all done. And then it's very, very clear what's done and what's not. And sometimes, you know, even if you do one wedding at a time, all of a sudden you're short of something or another. So you have one item out of that wedding that didn't get done. If you do it in highlighter, then it's very apparent the morning of when you're doing that checklist, hey, like this isn't done, we got a problem. So it's just, it's kind of overkill, but it makes it very clear. And so some of those organizational things, as you're doing those multiple things when you're growing your business, to really think about utilizing is a good way to go. So, and for me too, if anybody wants to contact me and kind of talk through some of those processes, I've been involved in a lot of varieties of businesses, and so I welcome your calls too as well. So I think we want to wrap up here, and so Allie, we want to really thank you for being a part of LBR Shares Success, and it's definitely, you can see your passion and also sharing your ideas and the just the new concepts that you're out there, you know, not letting business go, but going after it, and really embracing investing in the future. And that's where we really need to be, and not think about it as temporary, thinking about it as, you know, what's going to sustain my business long term. And I really appreciate you being on today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And 10 years ago, if you would have told me I would have been doing this, no. So, you know, it's like I say, I wouldn't have chosen this path if you would have given it to me, but I wouldn't change it either because it's
You are meant for it. And I just want to have a couple closing statements. First, I'm going to address Sarah's comment. She said, now I feel less crazy about my multiple checklists and my separate wedding cooler. And I think this is what I love about these webinars, and what I love about our Facebook community page is that you guys get to share with each other and say, you know what, you're not alone, and I've felt the way you felt, and thank you for this idea, and together we're a community, and together we're just going to get better and better. And so thank you for, oops, we have another question. One moment, please. Oh, Mary Jo says, thank you, everybody. So and thank you for that. Allie, I just want to say your passion comes through. You have a huge heart and it shows. And I love that you're always learning. Your pencil to paper when someone else has an idea just shows that nobody has all the answers. And we, again, continue to learn from each other. And really, thank you from me to you for being here today. We really appreciate it. I know you have a few things going on. So,
Yeah.
And if we could have Sandy do a demo on how to do a cascading bouquet, it would help me sleep at night.
Oh,
I've seen her do a few of those.
we
Yeah.
And we might have one.
We have a great YouTube video on we have a playlist on YouTube that's LBR Educates.
Sure.
And there is a Cascade bridal bouquet on there in a holder. But I know that now a lot of people are doing them hand tied too. So that can be on the list.
Okay.
Awesome.
And so we're going to be sending Allie a thank you gift of some unique flowers that we're carrying at Lembush. And if anybody else has ideas that they've implemented or would like to be a featured guest on LBR Shares Success, we invite you to email me and express your interest. And our next webinar will be Tuesday, October 13th at 2:30. And the replay will be available on YouTube on our playlist, the LBR Shares Success, and make sure and ask your salesperson for those links. And so thanks everybody for being here. Thank you, Allie. Thank you, Nancy.
Thanks, guys.
All right,
Thanks.
bye.
Are you done? Okay.